everyone, and welcome to Excel 2016 Essentials right here on Office Pro TV. My name is Vaughn Smith, and in this course overview, we're going to be discussing what exactly are we covering in this series, who is our target audience, do I need to know anything before starting the series, and some extra tips and tricks. So what are we going to be covering in this series? We have it broken up into two main areas or topics. We have our introduction and our format workbooks. In the introduction, we're going to be covering the very basics, starting off with, well, what exactly is Excel? Have a PowerPoint presentation that goes along to just really talk about, like, this is a spreadsheet application. What does that exactly mean? We'll go ahead and watch that episode and you'll find out. We then go ahead and move into just some Windows and Excel basics, like how do I open a file? How do I save a file? Where do I go to print a file? What about the Excel environment? Like, what is a ribbon? What is the quick access toolbar? Where do I go to customize that quick access toolbar? What's the status bar? So we'll be covering all of those basics in some of those introductory episodes. We'll also talk about how to navigate within a workbook, how to get to our different worksheets, and how to select cells, and what does it mean to have an active cell, and what to look for when we want to either move or copy information. Then we'll start selecting our information to be able to do what I just said, which is copy and paste and do all those different things. And it's all about our mouse cursor icons. So really important area to really focus on in Excel. Then we're going to be, well, inserting some data. We'll be putting in text. We'll be putting in numbers. And then how do I do some really cool things with some fill series? Oh, and the flash fill, oh, just watch that episode. You'll be amazed at what this product can do for us and its intelligent services, if you would say, of how it's gotten so smart for us. It just knows what we want to do. And we will also be covering how to export your information out into different file formats, talking about like CSVs and different ways that you can make PDFs, so how to get that file into like its final format to where you need to work with it and be able to send it off to maybe some other people within your organization. Then we'll get into formatting, and format really means change and modify. So we're going to be modifying the structures of our Excel workbooks and worksheets with changing our column widths, our row heights. How do I add or delete columns and rows? How do I hide things? How do I unhide things? So we'll be covering all of that. We'll also be formatting in the sense of what maybe a lot of people think of formatting as changing the font, making things bold, changing the colors of different things. What about a style? How can I work with that? And then how can I change my themes? We'll also, the all-important number formats. That's a big one. Like, why is it when I type this number in, it's changing it to a date? Why does it do that? How can I make it stop doing that? How can I force it to do those different things? Custom number formats as well. So lots of good information in our number format episodes. We'll also be covering how to change the page layout for printing, such as doing our page breaks, how to put in headers and footers, changing the margins and orientations of our workbooks. And then we'll end up on our managing our workbooks and worksheets. How do I change my sheet names, change the reorganization of those sheet tabs to where I want them to show, and how to copy and paste different worksheets within multiple workbooks. So covering all the essentials of working with Excel. Now, one topic that we will not be covering in this particular series is calculations, how to create formulas and functions within Excel. That is an entirely separate series that I have taken, because you can use Excel for two different ways, to just organize your information and or calculate your functions and be able to really do those number crunches. And I wanted to separate those out to really focus on those two different main things that Excel does for us. So who's our target audience in this particular series? This is all Office users. Now notice that Office is capitalized, meaning Office within the Microsoft Office suite. It doesn't mean that you have to work in an office, like a physical location, to be able to use this particular series and this particular product. Because it could be in a large organization, or you can be the power of one and just have yourself being able to use Excel. This does start from the very beginning in our foundation, so it takes our basic information and goes up to, I would say, maybe an intermediate level. And this is where we talk about in some of our episodes, where people maybe skip over all of the basics of Excel and then go right into the harder stuff. And then when you start kind of getting those problems, like, why isn't this working? It's going back to basics, learning those foundations that can really help you. And where it's like, oh, that's why that does that. So we will be hitting all of that, and hopefully you can gain a nice foundational knowledge, even if you actually have been using Excel for some time. What do you need to know about before we get started? Well, you need to have some familiarity with just the Windows operating system in general, but you don't have to have any prior knowledge of Excel to be able to excel in this particular series. Now, if you have used other Office products such as Word or Outlook or PowerPoint, then some of those things, they cover all of the Office products, things like the ribbon and the quick access toolbar. So you might be very familiar with some of those, but then when you get into how does Excel really work, that's where you're going to have that difference. Tips and tricks are little extras. There's always multiple ways to do the same thing in any of your Office products. So while I might show you ways 1, 2, and 3, there might be 4 and 5 and 6. There might be other ways to do things that I might not specifically cover in these episodes. So they're out there. They do the same thing. So if you have a different way of doing it than I do, that's totally fine. As long as you can get to that same ending point, then that's good. Updates happen. Yes, they do. And depending on if you're on an Office 365 subscription and when your updates are scheduled, you might not have some of the same things that I have because you're on a later update than I was on when I was filming these episodes. So do take that into account, that things might look a little different. And then more than just that, you have different versions of Excel. You have different versions. What I mean by that is subscription levels. I have an enterprise license. You might not have an enterprise license, and that might be why I see a certain button and you don't. Your network, your IT people that are setting up your particular computer and where you're working in a large organization, they might have locked certain features down of your Office products or your subscriptions that you can't access. So you will have that from time to time that will make things look a little different. Of course, always searching for that answer is like, why does mine not look like yours? You might be able to find that by, well, as we say, consulting the Oracle and going out to Google or Bing or to whatever search engine you have to go ahead and get all that information. And everybody uses this product differently. I might use Excel differently than you, and you might really need to just perform calculations and not have to worry about changing things to be pink and green and different fonts. So everybody has different reasons for why they use Excel, but it does have that functionality that is common, but how we decide to use that functionality for our end result and what you need in your workflow, it could be different. And of course, in all of these episodes, you know us, we like to have fun, so I keep it light. We're going to be talking more about Fuego and Bishop, and we'll be going through our Christmas cats. So hopefully while learning this, that you have fun as well, and hopefully we'll take some of that pain out of knowing Excel and knowing exactly how to do it will make it a lot more fun. So I hope you have fun, I will have fun, and I hope to see you very soon.